Hello students, let us continue with the chapter 4, the Carew murder case. Okay, this is the last part of the chapter. So, Mr. Hyde had already quailed means shocked at the name of Mr. Hyde. Here, the lawyer Mr. Utterson had already shocked at the name of Mr. Hyde. So, in fact, he knew Mr. Hyde, who he is. Okay? But when the stick was laid before him, he could doubt no longer. And broken and battered means destroyed as it was, he recognized it for one that he had himself presented many years before to Henry Jekyll. Okay, you remember that Henry Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the same person. Okay, so here in this paragraph, Mr. Utterson, the lawyer, was shocked at the name of Mr. Hyde. Okay, but when he saw the stick he saw half of the stick, and he understood that he recognized it is for one that he himself has presented this stick many years before to Henry Jekyll. Is this Mr. Henry Hyde a person of small in stature? He inquired to the police. But he said what he inquired, is he a small in stature? Particularly small and particularly wicked looking is what the maid calls him, said the officer. Officer told that the maid servant tells him that he is a wicked and also he is a very small in stature. Mr. Utterson thought that, and then raising his head, if you will come with me in my cab means public carriage, okay, he said, I think I can take you to his house. Who said this? Mr. Utterson told to the police, if you can come with me in my cab, I can take you to whose house? Mr. Hyde's house. Okay. It was by this time about 9 in the morning, and at first fog of the season hung in the street. The cab rolled slowly to the dark, dreadly street, and Mr. Utterson felt gloomy. Gloomy means sad. So, here it says that Mr. Utterson says to the police officer, if you can come with me, I can reach you to Mr. Hyde's house. You know that Mr. Hyde and Mr. Jekyll are the same person in the story. So don't get confused with them. Okay. It was about 9 in the morning and the first fog of the season hung in the street. So the cab slowly moved along the dreadly street carrying these people. These people means the lawyer, Mr. Utterson, and the police. Where they are going? To the Hyde's house. Okay. After a while, so the vehicle reached before the house of a man whom they were searching. Which man? Hyde. Okay. Who had done the murder. The streets was very dirty, and what all things they have seen in the street that is coming in the next paragraph. Okay. As the cab drew up before the address indicated, the fog lifted a little and showed him a dingy street. Dingy street means a dark, gloomy, dirty street. Okay. A grubby eating house. A dirty eating house, few shops selling cheap goods, many ragged children huddled in the doorways. So what all things they see on the way to Mr. Hyde's house? They saw dirty dressed children, dressed in shabby clothes, and gathered together. They were gathered together in the street and also in the doorways, and many people of the nationalities were passing by. And the next moment, the fog settled down again upon the path, and a brown as umber and cut him off from the lowly surroundings. This was home of Henry Jekyll's favorite, of a man who was heirs to quarter of a million Shirley. Okay, so here it says that what all things the police and Mr. Hyde sees on the way. They saw some dirty houses and a few cheap goods selling shops. Many shabby children gathered in the doorways, and many people who are of different nationalities moved around on the street. At that moment, the sky was clear, the fog settled down. The next, the writer is exaggerating the sky, how it looked. It looked like as brown as umber, means dark yellowish or brown in color. And this was the house of Jekyll, and he had a $250,000 British currency. Shillong means the British currency. He was having lot of money, we can say that. Okay, so he was a wealthy man. Okay, children. So what happened then? An ivory-faced and a silvery-haired old woman opened the door. Who opened the door when they came? An ivory-faced, a long teeth like an elephant. She looks like her teeth is exaggerated here. And a white-haired woman, old woman, opened the door. She had an evil face. How she looked? She had an evil face and smooth by hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means a double-faced woman. She was also looking like a wicked woman. But her manners were excellent. The way she presented herself or the way she behaved, it was excellent. Yes, she said, this was Mr. Hyde's, but he was not at home. Yes, this is Mr. Hyde's house, but he is not at home. He had been in that night very late, but had gone away again in less than an hour. The last night he came here, an hour here, he was here, but he went away. And, but had gone away again in less than an hour. There was nothing strange in that. His habits were very irregular and he was often absent. For instance, it was nearly 2 months since he had seen him till yesterday. So she told that I have not seen him since last 2 months, and previous night he came and he stayed here nearly an hour and he left the place. Who told her? The old lady. Very well then, we wish to see his rooms, said the lawyer, and when the woman began to declare it, it was impossible. The police and the artisan told that we would like to investigate, or we wanted to come into his room and see what is there, okay? And to declare it was, so who declared it was impossible? The old woman declared that it is impossible. I had better tell you who this person. You introduce yourself first, then I will allow you to come inside the room. This is Inspector Newcomen of Scotland Yard. Okay, so they introduced themselves, whom they are. A flash of odious joy appeared upon the woman's face. Oh, said she, he is in trouble. What has he done? Who said this? The old woman. When they told that they are the lawyer and the inspector. An odious joy means extremely and joy, an extreme joy, extreme. She was extremely happy to hear. And she told, oh, what happened? He is in trouble. What he has done? Mr. Utterson and the inspector exchanged a glance at each other. They looked at each other by hearing this. He don't seem a very popular character, observed the inspector, and now just let him in. So what he told her? The Utterson and police, they just exchanged a glance at each other, and they thought that this particular man, Mr. Hyde, is not a popular figure in that particular place. So, and the lady allowed them to get inside the room. Okay, students, that's all today. Rest of the story we will take in the next class. You can read the chapter, understand the story, and learn the new word meanings, and write it down in the copy and learn it. Okay, thank you.